Staten Island Comedy Show. Co-host Miranda Tiffany with guest David Voice, PN, Ziggy Sisler, Jodi Oliver, Tom Padovano, Ethan Feldman, Gene Kim, and I'm your announcer, Bodybuilder Bob. And now, Freddie Coscia, take it away!
Ladies and gentlemen, live on Staten Island, it's the Staten Island Comedy Show with your host, Nevin! Cummings!
We're going to have a great show for you tonight, so stay tuned. We're going to have comedians. We got a lot of comedians. And by the way, that was Freddie Coscia and Bodybuilder Bob. And you know,
Wow.
And you know what, Fred?
What?
There's this company, this large company. They wanted to improve the work area and stuff. So they hired a CEO. And the CEO they hired, he wanted to make a name for himself. He wanted to get rid of all the slackers in the company. So he walked around the building and he saw this room was filled with workers. And then he noticed one guy leaning up against the wall, slacking off. So he goes up to him and says, "Hey, you, how much a week do you get paid?" And the startled guy said, $300 a week. So the CEO says, "All right, here's 4 weeks' pay, $1,200. Now get the hell out of here and don't come back." So he feels good about himself. So he goes into the room with the workers and he says, "By the way, does anybody know what that guy does?" So he hears a voice from the back, and he says, "Oh, he's the pizza delivery guy." I'm telling you, Fred.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Fred, we're going to have a great show tonight. So,
yeah.
Without further ado, Freddie Coscia, take it away! We're going to have a great show tonight. Hey, Bob, you're looking pretty dapper there, Bob.
Oh, thank you, yeah. I got dressed just for the show.
All right, good, good. Fred, you're looking pretty red.
Yeah.
Okay,
know.
so we got
That time of the
we got
year.
a great show. We got a lot of comedians tonight. And our first comedian is Tom Padovano. How you doing, Tom?
Not me.
How you doing?
Yeah.
So, Tom, where are you from?
Queens, New York.
Okay, and I asked you this probably last week. Who's your favorite comic?
Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
And oh, hey, take my wife, will you? Okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years as a comic?
Well, hopefully doing your show over and over again.
What you have been doing?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. What advice can you give as aspiring comics?
Get on stage as much as you can. Write every day. Get on Facebook and make friends with other comedians, because sometimes the best way to get gigs is to get them from other comedians. They'll tell you about what's going on. So get in the loop with the others.
Okay. And have you ever dealt with the hecklers?
I have, but I got those people thrown out of my family.
Okay. Yeah, I hear about that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. How long have you been doing comedy? I know you've been on this show for about 20 years.
Well, yeah. I started writing in the early 80s for like Rodney Dangerfield, Joan Rivers, Phyllis Diller, and others. Then in the mid 80s, I started to perform every once in a while, not too often. And now I actually do more performing than writing for others.
Okay, and where do you get your material from?
Usually just from my life, from the newspapers, just try to look at my surroundings and see what's going on.
Okay, and I hear you wrote some jokes for Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you remember one offhand?
Yeah. I got my son a job in the bowling alley as a pin.
Okay. That's great. That's a great one. I'm sure you use that one a lot, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you hate when somebody comes up and asks you, are you a comedian, say something funny?
Yeah.
doctor, you know?
Yeah. Even though I should be used to it, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm going, well, what joke do I use? You know, should it be a kid's joke? Should it be an adult's joke? It's never a comfortable feeling for me.
Okay, and where are you performing next?
Let's see. This Sunday I'll be at the Barnes & Noble in Lake Grove. Next week I'll be at Much More's in Brooklyn, and I'll be at the Forest Hills Library the last Thursday of the month.
Okay, and we're going to see much more of you right now. So
Yes,
you got 5 minutes for us?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Tom Padovano!
All right. So glad to be here. I'm just glad to be out of the house. I hate staying home just staring at all 3 walls. Terrible. And my house has a bug problem. And I mean, it's really bad. The other day, I tried to open the kitchen cabinet door, and it was being pulled shut from the other side. That's a bug problem, you know? And now I'm having trouble with my 20-year-old. Smoking. Day and night. Won't stop smoking. My 20-year-old's my car. Thank you. So I brought it to the mechanic. I said, can you do anything? He makes a phone call. I said, did you call your parts department? He said, no. I called a priest. This car needs a miracle. And he said, thank you. He said, never mind. I'm going to tell the priest to come here and give it its last rites. So anyhow, I'm having so much problems with so many people. Like, I have my crazy relatives. Like my Aunt Corleone. She just turned 88, and she got her belly button pierced. And she put a big hoop earring over there. So I said, Aunt, why did you do that? She goes, well, now when I wash the dishes, that's where I put the washcloth. I tell you. Oh, then my Uncle Smarto. My Uncle Smarto says to me, Tom, wisdom is more important than money. So give me all your cash. Oh, and then my Uncle Chooch, my tough Uncle Chooch, he says to me, you know, I killed a man with 1 punch. I said, you poisoned the punch? Oh, and then last December, you can applaud if you want, that's fine. I'll take it. Oh, and last December, Chooch came to my holiday party, and he sings, I'll be home for Christmas. So my Aunt Angie sings, yes, you'll be home for Christmas, 'cause you're under house arrest. Now, speaking of Christmas, I remember years ago, I said, Mommy, I wanted a toy truck for Christmas, but I didn't get one, and I'm very upset. She goes, oh, shut up. You're 30 years old. Now, as far, one thing, though, about my parents, even though they didn't have much money, every year they sent me to summer camp in January. Now, one thing, though, I was terrible in school. Like, I wasn't the class clown. I was the class idiot. Always getting left back. Do you know any other kid in 3rd grade excused for jury duty? It was a terrible thing. It was so embarrassing, too. My teacher made my parents write on the blackboard 100 times, we will not have any more kids. I miss being young, though, because I'm a nervous wreck now. I'm like a nervous flyer. Like, I went to the airport, waiting for my flight to board. Nothing's happening. Finally, an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry for the delay. Your pilot will be there as soon as happy hour ends. Not relaxing. And you know what's getting me nervous? Getting older. It's really terrible. Now, I have hair growing out of my ears. And what makes it worse? It has dandruff. Do you know what it's like to shampoo with Head and Shoulders and ears? Terrible. Well, listen, you've been a wonderful audience. I hope you've had as much fun and pleasure as I've had tension and emotional strain. You don't got to worry about me. This was my last 5 minutes of community service. But I know what will relax me. Taking in some of this clean, pristine Staten Island air. Good night.
Yeah.
That was a great act. You know what? That was
truth of
pretty
that.
good.
I'm not going.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we're moving right along, and we have our next guest is Jodi Oliver.
Hi.
How you doing? Okay, Jodi, where are you from?
I'm from Queens, New York.
Oh, okay, and
Tom's neighbor.
Tom's neighbor. Okay, okay, Tom's neighbor. Okay, and who was your favorite? I should last time you were on the show. Who was your favorite?
Yes, I love Joan Rivers.
Okay, all right, nice.
And
Did you have any bloopers while you were performing? Any hecklers hecked you or?
some bloopers.
Oh, okay.
No hecklers.
Okay. What's your interests or hobbies? Do you have any other interests or hobbies besides stand-up?
Yes, I dance.
Oh, you dance.
Yes, I teach dance.
Oh, you teach dance.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear you have a class also for comedy. Like
Yes.
You critique.
I critique people,
Oh, okay.
and that's on a podcast.
Oh, nice, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they can find you on that podcast and then sign up for the
Right.
classes.
It's going to be returning. It's going to be announced. It's a big announcement coming. We had it, and been on a hiatus.
Okay. So it's coming back.
Yes, in June.
Oh, okay. And where do you get your material from?
I write it.
You write it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And
It's original stories
story.
of my life.
Oh, okay. Nice. And did you ever deal with hecklers, or you never had any?
I really never had hecklers.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you hate it when somebody comes up to you on the street and says, "Tell me a joke"?
Yes, because mine are stories.
Right.
I'd be standing there all day long.
Okay. Yeah. So you would definitely
Run
that's
into trouble.
Right. Right. And you would that would kill it right there. 'Cause
Right.
Nobody likes a long joke.
No?
Okay. Okay. All right. So you have 5 minutes for us?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Jodi Oliver.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah.
My bad days aren't like everybody else's bad days. I got busted for using cocaine in the ladies' room of the diner. And the police tell me I get to make one phone call. I said, good. I was just there. I'm calling my dentist. He'll tell you it's not cocaine. It's tooth whitener, you morons. Well, anyhow, I finally get home from the police station, and I couldn't wait to get into the shower. And I'm singing, "Don't Rain on My Parade." And I'm really belting it out when the whole bathroom ceiling caves in. There's plaster dust all over me, and my bathroom's a total wreck. Well, at least now it matches the rest of my apartment. And I'm thinking, too bad my mother's not here to see me now. She always wanted to see me dressed in all white. And I'm naked, and I look up, and there's this huge hole in the ceiling. And there's this dude staring right down at me. And I ask him, "What are you looking at?" And he says, "Hey, lady, I was looking at my floor, which is now in your tub, all because someone was singing about some crazy parade." "Oh, and lady, you need a plumber." "I'm a plumber. You want me to come down and fix your pipes?" Well, if you're a plumber, then I'm a born-again virgin. Would you mind so much getting your head out of my ceiling hole? Anyhow, I take the subway all the time, and my girlfriend Melanie tells me, if anybody acts crazy toward you, act crazier towards them. So I'm standing on the subway platform, and this nut comes up to me, and he starts acting like really weird, and I remember what Melanie tells me, and I turn around and turn back. I'll get you, I'll get you, I'll get you, I'll get you. And he says to me, at last I found my soulmate. I've been looking for you my whole life. So I gave him my number. And he never called. Anyhow, I figured it's a good time to get in to see a therapist. And I decided on this male therapist, hoping it would be different. It was definitely different. This guy was a major fox. And when I walked into his office, there were fireworks. And he tells me all I need to do is release this tremendous amount of anxiety and for someone to show me my good points and to be gentle with me. And it will only take 8 sessions to start feeling better. And I asked him who, me or you? Well, I got up off his lap. And then I asked him, by the way, are you single? And he tells me, well, sort of. And I asked him, Bill Clinton, sort of? Or Richard Simmons, sort of? And then I asked him, do you do this with all your patients? Have them sit on your lap? And he tells me, no, you're my very first patient. That it's his father's office, and his father's away on vacation. I have a really small apartment. No, I'm not exaggerating. My apartment looks like a jungle. But a jungle at least has a path that leads outside. And I have to be really committed to a guy to let him come in, because there's a good chance he'll never find his way out. I keep losing things in there. I think I lost my cousin Bonnie. I got so fed up with the apartment that I called my girlfriend's boyfriend to come help me fix it up. And he's a professional crook. So professional, he robbed me. Anyhow, I called the police and they came over. And they said somebody actually took something from in here. And I said, thank you, everybody. Good night.
All right. Hey Fred,
Yeah.
you look a little red tonight. Is that red or is that orange?
Well, it's
I can't make it
it's
out.
a birch red. Yeah,
It's a birch red? Oh,
well,
okay.
maybe it's, I don't know.
Hey Fred,
It's
Fred,
red.
It's red. Oh, you have a funny story, right, Fred? Didn't Tiny Tim not go out one day? He got stage fright or something.
Oh, yeah, we were doing a show, yeah, and he started, he got stage fright, yeah, he was in the back, and...
And what'd you tell him?
No, well, he was crying for me. He says, oh, tell Freddie to come in the back and get me to, So I went in the back. I said, Tiny. He says, oh, I don't want to go. I said, listen, Tiny, if you don't go on, he said, I ain't getting paid tonight. I'm not getting paid, Tiny. So some way, I'm going to get you out of your stage fright. And so he grabbed my hand and we walked up to the stage.
And you tiptoed through the tulips.
Tiptoe, yeah. We tiptoed, yeah. He was a great guy, though, Tiny Tim. Great guy.
All right,
Yeah.
that was a good story.
Tiny Tim. Yeah.
Okay, so,
Miranda Panda's back.
I'm good. How's everybody?
Oh, good. All right, so we're on our third comic,
Okay.
and His name is Ziggy.
Oh, Ziggy.
Ziggy Sisler. I call him Ziggy. He played guitar.
Yeah.
So how you doing, Ziggy?
Fine, thanks.
Oh, where are you from?
Originally from Brooklyn, and now I live in Manhattan.
Oh, okay. What part of Manhattan?
The Lower East Side.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'm from the Lower East Side.
Cool.
I was born in Manhattan Hospital.
Oh,
I was
nice.
born in Brooklyn Women's Hospital.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Sorry.
Well, okay. Whatever floats your boat. Okay. What made you get into comedy?
I've always liked comedy, and I used to make people laugh at my job. We would have a Christmas party, and I would write jokes during the year, and at the end of the year, I would tell these jokes, and people laughed. And I figured if they can laugh, maybe normal people would laugh too.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice. Nice. Okay. Do you have any dark secrets we should know about?
I didn't find out my real name till I was 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
Like I was Ziggy all my life, and then at 5 years old I went to kindergarten. The teacher takes attendance, and she never called my name. And she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Ziggy." "What's your last name?" "Sisler." She said, "No, you're Sigmund Sisler." I had no idea till I was 5 years old what my real name was. It was
Wow.
weird.
Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty dark.
Identity crisis.
Hey, what sets you apart? What sets you apart from other comics?
I don't know. People tell me they like me. I don't know. They feel like I'm their uncle up on stage sometimes. You know, like they're, I don't know, dirty uncle or favorite uncle, I'm not sure, but an uncle. So I'll take it.
All right. So where are you performing next?
Broadway Comedy Club. I'm going to be there the next 2 Saturdays.
Okay, and they can find your schedule on Facebook? Or
Right,
My
right.
Face, as
Right.
Miranda says. No,
Yes,
I
my
say.
face.
Okay, and
Got you.
all right, and you have 5 minutes for us, Ziggy?
Thank you.
Guess you didn't know there was also going to be an AARP meeting. I was lucky enough to be on that great show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, this year. I was there.
Right.
Thanks. It was a great show. I was there for 2 days, and you see the side of my face for less than a second. I've made it. They dressed us in 1950s clothing, and they trimmed my mustache. I look just like my Aunt Sarah. One of the things I did on my job was interview people. And I was once interviewing this woman. I said, "What did you do?" She said she worked at Whole Foods. I said, "I used to go to the Whole Foods on Houston Street in Manhattan. I love their bread pudding." She said, "Oh my God, I work there and I'm the one who made their bread pudding." I said, "Wow, that's incredible. Why don't they sell it anymore?" She said, "Not enough people were buying it." Now that's a true story, and there's no punchline, but that's the most exciting thing that happened to me in 35 years at Social Security. When people hear that I worked at Social Security, someone usually comes up to me and says, "Will Social Security be there for me when I stop working?" I say, "Don't stop working." It was hard for me to decide when to retire, so I asked my boss for advice, and he said, "Today works for me." I said, I'll stay until you hire a replacement." He said, "For what?" My friend said, "Don't worry, God will give you a sign." Sure enough, a few months later, I fell, tore my Achilles tendon, and broke my collarbone. I don't know why she had to tell God to trip me. But I learned that even being laid up for months in a cast is better than working. And now that I'm well, I can again navigate porn sites with my fingers instead of using a pencil between my teeth. One of the things I'm not missing about my job is the energy-efficient bathroom. I would stand in front of the urinal, and when I was finished, it wouldn't flush. I think it was asking me, "Is that all you've got?" And then the lights would go out. My wife was against my retiring. She said, "Don't do it. You'll be bored. You're not going to accomplish anything. You'll hate it." She just described my job. She said, "If you're going to be home, get rid of the junk in your closet." I mentioned that to my friend, and he said, "When you come out of the closet with your junk, bring it to me. I'll show you what to do with it." What a nice guy. My kids are worried that I'm going to get out of shape, and they said I have to walk at least 10,000 steps a day. But how many times can you go from the couch to the bathroom? 241. Now that I'm retired, I want to binge watch that TV show about retired people, The Walking Dead. My wife wanted to go on a cruise, so I asked a friend of mine to recommend one. He said, it doesn't matter where you go, just pick the cheapest one because all you're going to talk about is the food. So we took a 10-day cruise to Hoboken. The food was delicious. Our daughter recently moved back in with us. She said she's doing it to save money on rent. I said, you're going to spend more on therapy. I yelled at her and she was mad. She said, treat me like a roommate, not your daughter. I said, pay rent. We have a bird, and I'm trying to toilet train him. And you can tell when he's about to poop, and every time he makes some movements, I put him on the edge of a garbage can. But basically, it's a crapshoot. He doesn't like our daughter much. He flies to her, and I looked it up, and it looks like it's hormonal. So one of them is going to get neutered. As I've gotten older, I've noticed that my fantasies have changed. I used to be turned on by women in the Victoria's Secret commercials. Then it was the women in the Viagra commercials. Now it's the women that help I fall and I can't get up commercials. I don't think all the evidence is in yet as to whether cell phones cause brain cancer, so I use earbuds. Okay, I keep the phone in my pocket, but I already have all the kids that I want. And if my private parts should end up glowing, I'll have a nightlight. I knew I was going to marry my wife when we took a trip and we left on Virgin and returned united.
Whoa.
That's my time. Thank you very much.
Wow.
All right.
He is funny. Oh my God.
I just wanted to ask Bodybuilder
Yeah, yeah.
Bob.
Yes.
Hey, Bodybuilder Bob, I heard, besides doing voices and stuff like that, I heard you were a swimmer. You really got into swimming.
Yeah, well, that was a few years ago. For my birthday, I says, I'm going to do something really different. So I swam the English Channel.
Really?
Which is 21 miles.
21 miles.
21 miles. And I almost made it. And I couldn't make it, so I turned around and went back. Anyway, Jim, I'll be all the way. There you go.
So you performing anywhere or doing anything?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a lot of voiceovers, and also singing voices over. I got back into singing, and I do like 10 different, celebrities, and and I'm doing a little bit of comedy, a couple of jokes here and there, and everything else.
I didn't know that, Miranda.
Nice.
You
No, I didn't know either.
Yeah. I didn't know the Bob song, Bodybuilder Bob.
That was the song.
That was the song.
That's your
Okay,
song.
can you give us a sample of your beautiful voice?
Well,
Well, you're gonna
yeah.
do Willie Nelson, right?
Oh, Willie Nelson. Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Maybe I didn't squeeze you quite as good as I should have. Little things I could have said and done.
There you go. That's only one of them.
That's great.
That's great. That's great.
You
Okay.
sound just like him.
Why, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was great, Miranda, right?
Yes, I liked it a lot.
You doing any projects? I think Mike Bichetti's gonna get his basement with Bichetti going.
Yeah. So I've been talking to him. I have some photo shoots in the works. I've been doing YouTube videos lately, so I'm
great.
trying to get my channel started and rolling. I obviously love you guys. I'm always here for whatever show you guys have.
Oh, my heart just stopped.
Stop. I think there's a few other things that I probably can't remember or I can't talk about right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just trying to get the ball rolling again.
Okay, great. And you have the floor for our next guest.
Yeah, okay. So our next guest is Jean Kim. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I was born in South Korea, and I grew up in amongst the cornfields and strip malls of Columbus, Ohio. Go Buckeyes!
That's awesome. What got you into comedy?
Well, actually, my mom, who's here tonight, she was my muse, and she inspired me because she's the funniest person I know. And, you know, growing up as an immigrant in Ohio had its challenges. We didn't have a lot of money, but she kept me and my sisters laughing all throughout our childhood. So, you know, comedy was a big part of my life.
That's amazing. Props to your mom.
Thank you.
So who's your favorite comedian or comedians?
Joan Rivers and Dave Chappelle. Yeah, Chris Rock. Yeah, so those are some of my top favorites.
Yeah, the OGs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this for?
Nearly 3 years, but actually 20 years ago when I first moved to New York from Ohio, I did comedy, mostly like open mics for a year. But yeah, but 3 years plus that year.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like fairly new.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So what do you believe sets you apart from other comedians?
I think my stories, I have a unique perspective, being an immigrant, but also being a, you know, a woman, and just being really authentic about, you know, where I come from and who I am. I think that's what really resonates with the audience.
Yeah, that is important. So as Nevin always likes to ask, do you have any dark secrets?
I do, but if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Yes. And where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Well, I'd like to have a HBO series, and you know, and have my own Netflix special, and you know, sell out Madison Square Garden. And how much time do we have?
Those are the dreams.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see you somewhere.
Thank you.
For sure.
My dream is to bring this show on national television. So.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful! Love to be part of it.
Yeah.
Better hurry up.
We're getting old, right?
No, I'm just kidding. So you have any upcoming shows?
I do. I'm going to be at the Broadway Comedy Club, you know, several times in May. May 15th, May 22nd, May 29th. Yeah, it's a great club. You know, it's kind of become my home club. I'm there quite often.
Yeah, I think I've been there before. It's a really nice space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any Facebook, you know, a Facebook where people can get your
Yes.
Any MySpace?
MySpace?
Yeah. My face, and I'm also on Instagram at Jean Kim Comedy. So I put my schedules up there as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you have a few minutes for us?
Yes, I do.
Yay!
Thank you. Hello, I'm Jeannie. As you can clearly tell by my appearance, I'm from Brooklyn. Nah, actually I'm from Ohio. I just sound like this because I'm dating a Guido from Bensonhurst. When I first met my boyfriend's mom, she asked me if I could do her nails. I know, right? At first I was so offended, but then I thought, hey, it's my boyfriend's mom. So I gave her a mani-pedi, and I dry cleaned her sweater. So I came to America from Korea when I was 2. My sister was 3. She was supposed to come here, but at the last moment, at the airport, my grandma said, Jean's so loud. She cried too much. Take her. I keep quiet one. So I ended up coming here on my sister's passport. you know how they say all Asian babies look alike? Yeah, immigration thought so too. So I grew up in Ohio, where I was one of only 4 Asians in my entire high school. So I spent a lot of time doing white people activities. I wore a lot of flannel. I listened to tons of country western music. I thought about joining the swim club, but then I remembered, hey, I want to meet black guys. I auditioned for the drama club for 4 years, but I didn't get one part until they put on a production of Miss Saigon. And then I got 3 parts. I did get a lot of attention from the guys, though. Like the captain of the basketball team, he'd walk over to me, put his arm around me, look into my eyes, and ask me to do his math homework. Another time in biology class, this guy comes up and he sits next to me, and he's like, I got a C on my test, and it's all your fault. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, I got a C on my test. I copied off of you. What kind of Asian are you? I'm like, look, dude, I'm Korean. Copy of the Chinese girl next time. It wasn't until I moved to New York City, the land of the Asian fetishists, that I finally felt truly appreciated and properly objectified. One of the first things I did was I joined Match.com, and I got an email from a guy who said, I love eating Asian. I didn't totally know what he meant by this, so I asked my friend, and she was like, Jean, don't you think that's kind of creepy? But I thought it was kind of hopeful. So now my mom has joined me in New York, and she lives in Staten Island. I think she's the only person I know who moved there to raise her social standing and impress our relatives. Because I hear her on the phone going, oh, what I do today? I go boating in the harbor again. I'm like, Mom, you were with 500 people on the Staten Island ferry. So it's kind of strange being Korean here in America. I mean, just last week, someone asked me if I'm from North Korea. Okay, folks, this is how you tell the difference between a North and a South Korean. If you're talking to a Korean in the United States, they're South Korean. Because all North Koreans are trapped in North Korea.
Oh my God.
So a couple weeks ago, I went to the Rachel Ray show as an audience member. And they have this warm-up guy there, and he tells you when to applaud and when to say certain things. So when you see a chocolate cake, you're supposed to go, mmm. And when you see a puppy, you're supposed to say, aww. Aww. But every time I saw the puppy, I'd go, mmm. Thank you, everyone.
She was good.
Yeah, she was really great. I was actually really laughing hard.
I was dying, Bobby. Bodybuilder Bob.
Boy, thank you.
Bodybuilder Bob.
It's a family song.
Bodybuilder Bob. Bob.
Everybody join in.
Freddie, Freddie, you didn't join in there.
Oh, no drums?
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, well, moving right along.
Yeah.
We have Dave Voice.
Yes.
Right, and PN.
My buddy PN, yes.
Right, okay.
That's right.
You always have a sidekick.
My first time on TV. Hopefully you can see me.
Yes.
Very nervous here, but I'm here to support my boy David Voice in his endeavors to be famous.
Yes.
'Cause that's what friends are for.
Yes, yes. And I lost a bet, so I had to take him.
Gambling's bad, guys.
Only if you lose.
Where are you guys from?
I'm from the Lower East Side of Manhattan as well. And
Okay.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York, guys. Shouts to Brooklyn, New York.
tell them who you live with. Tell them who you live with.
I live with my grandma, thank you, and I also live with my Uncle Groper, who's a gangster rapper who lives in a bathroom, but it's okay, guys. Because family's everything, okay? Right? Right, Staten Island? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Why am I more entertaining than you, Voice? I don't get it.
Oh, my.
Who's your favorite comic?
I like Chris Rock and the energy he does. I just like him just going, ah. Like, I think he could even tell a bad joke and I'll laugh just from his energy level.
All right. Okay.
I like Gilda Radner.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes. I like clean comedy. You know, I like comedy that's, you know, and she's got nice legs. So Gilda Radner.
Okay, all right. Okay. And you guys have any dark secrets? You know.
Oh, I'm sure you have plenty. You have plenty. Come on.
I think I have an evil twin somewhere.
Oh, boy.
Who does strange things. He gambles with the David Voice. He shows up. He's a boogeyman of mine. I don't know where he is, but he's out there.
Yeah, I shouldn't let you answer questions. That's bad.
David Voice is a degenerate. That's his. It's not even a dark secret. It's a secret. This is an open.
Alcohol's good. Alcohol's good. Alcohol and gambling is good. I mean, it's a good combination.
Kids, don't listen to David Voice. Listen to PN. Don't use drugs. Don't drink
I
alcohol.
didn't say drugs, just booze and gambling.
Drugs and gambling is a sort of drug. Am I right, Nevin?
That's right.
Get for Nevin, guys. Thank you for. Proud and honored. Proud and honored. I watch your show all the time in Brooklyn and BCAT.
Okay.
And Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and also Staten Island if I lived there.
All right, great. And YouTube.
Yes, YouTube. I love YouTube. I love watching YouTube on the library.
We have a YouTube show.
Yes. We have a YouTube show on Montekillavision, Todd Monsi. Shout out to Todd Monsi, very funny guy. He let us have our show, PN and Friends, on YouTube.
Nice.
Check it out. PN and Friends is P as in Paul, N as in Nancy, and
Nevin.
Friends.
And as in Nevin.
Yes, and Nevin.
I'm one of his friends.
Yeah.
I'm one of his friends.
You're all my friends, guys.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes. Except Voice. Voice is not a friend. He's a friend of me.
Boy.
He's a friend of me. He's a friend of me.
How should I even ask you this question? It's probably known by everybody by now, but what sets you apart from other comics?
Our voices
right,
are unique.
voice, of course.
Everyone, David Voice. I actually went to Caroline's. I had a big audition, and I was real pumped because I'm like, no one else has voice jokes. And this, I didn't know him yet. He appeared just for the heck of it, right? And he's like, hello, and I'm like, oh my God. 2 guys in a row, I'm screwed.
By the way, guys, I think I'm going to mistake. I'm talking to TV. I'm looking at the TV.
Yeah, don't look at the TV. Don't look at the TV.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I'm okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Again, it's my first time on TV. Very anxious.
You couldn't even use a Metro card today.
Is the microphone camera? I don't know.
What advice could you give aspiring comedians?
I got no computers because no matter what you do, you could be. I don't know computers. I'm always having people take courses in computers so you could post everything, edit everything. It will save you. Anyone who doesn't know computers just drives me crazy. And you call people, help me, and they say, yeah, and then 3 months later, they edited it, and it looks like garbage, and you're like, oh.
Also, don't use a flip phone to shoot stuff. Okay?
Don't use a flip phone. Those are pictures.
Yeah. So basically, I have to take all those pictures, put them together to make a video like it's 1932. And it's hard. Like, I gotta go put them out at my local library, print them out. Shout out to Brooklyn, New York Public Library. Print all the pictures, staple them together, then get a smartphone.
Like a Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
You know, when you flip it in the book, that's his videos.
And you guys have any other projects going on?
I'm also writing. I'm doing a book and I'm editing it. Also know how to use grammar. I can't.
Well, you should do an audio book.
I will eventually do that. And it's called The Can Man, My 5 Cents Worth. The Can Man, My 5 Cents Worth. And it should be ready by early June. It should be already up, but technical problems because I don't know how to use computers.
Okay, all right.
It will be on Amazon, by the way. You gotta tell them that.
Right. Amazon.com.
Amazon. They know the .com.
Just in case we didn't. Yeah.
That's right. There you go, Jeff Bezos.
Okay, well, where can we find you on Facebook and stuff?
Facebook. I'm doing I have a great show on Tuesdays at what's it called? The Tuesday show that Todd hosts.
A comedy show, right?
The UGG Comedy Show, the UGG Comedy Show at Drexler's Bar. It's a great thing, tons of great comedians. It's the greatest. And you can find me elsewhere, but that's the best one.
Okay, and you have some a knack for us tonight?
Yes, I do. You stay here and look pretty.
Yeah, so look at
Just in case you haven't noticed, I am known for my voice. And yeah, it's true. And in the comedy circles, I'm known as Gilbert Godfrey with laryngitis. I can't just be Gilbert Godfrey. He has to be sick to do that. So Affleck. And you know, when he was gone, I really thought that was my chance, but no. And I've been told that the younger people don't know who he is. So the younger people call me Cookie Monster with the flu. Yet again, I can't just be Cookie Monster. I have to be Cookie Monster with the flu. I had a comedy audition the other day, and I introduced myself as David Voice. And the guy's like, "Oh, I love voices. How many do you have?" I'm like, "Buddy, I only have one voice. If I had multiple voices, do you think I'd start off with this one?" No, David Voice singular. I'm the only one who calls up a Chinese restaurant and they yell at me that they don't understand what the hell I'm saying. But I do get some voiceover gigs, and that's great because it means money. The problem with it is no one knows it's me. And I was in a big-time commercial, and no one knows who it is till I tell you. And close your eyes. My name is David. I've been smoking for 20 years.
Oh, God.
That's right. I am the voice of cancer. They actually wanted a cancer patient, but they're like, they don't sound bad enough. You are the voice of cancer. You will scare people from smoking. Speaking of cats, yes, that's a nice segue. I do have a cat, and you know, in the movies, you always see this person, they have a pet, and the women go and they're like, "Ooh, that's so great, yeah." But no, it's not true, because I go up to women and I'm like, "Oh, I have a cat, let's have sex." And that never works. It does not work at all. And to tell you the truth, there's a stigma when you have cats with a male anyway. They just look at you like you're an odd guy. And I don't care. I love my cat Scooter. I love him a lot. And a few weeks ago, he was sick, and he was walking like a drunk person. He lost all his balance, and I didn't make a video of it on YouTube. I'm not going to make a fortune on that. I'll make jokes about it now, but not on YouTube, right? So I'm all upset. I'm taking him to the vet, and here's where the stigma bothers me again. I'm bringing him to the vet. I'm scared that he's dying. Spoiler, he's okay, so don't be worried about that. So I take him to the vet. And they say, "What's your baby's name?" He's not my baby. He's my cat. He's not, and even if I wanted to call him my baby, he's 16 years old. That's not healthy for me calling a 16-year-old my baby. So I still answer. I say, "That's Scooter." And then they're like, "What's your baby's last name?" He does not have a last name. He does not have a social security number. He does not have a driver's license. So I say, "You know, I'm stressed." I say, "My last name is Stein, David Voice Stein." And they're like, "Okay." So I take him to the vet, and the vet, anyone who knows the animal, it costs a fortune, right? But it's going good. They give me medicine. And the one good thing is the medicine is dirt cheap. It's real cheap. And I asked my sister, who's a real doctor, and she says, "You know, some people actually use cat medicine for their human problems because they're kind of similar." So it got me thinking. got me thinking. I said, I'll tell my vet that Scooter has some symptoms I have, get his medicine and pipe it down my mouth. So I call the vet. I say, oh, she said, is he still dizzy? I'm like, he's great, but he has a new problem. And she's like, oh, what is it? I'll give you a prescription. And I said, I noticed that he's having problems keeping his erection. And yeah, no pills for that, no pills. I'm David Voice, and I have spoken.
Wow, he had a very colorful voice.
Yes, very
Green,
different.
very green, right?
Green.
Afraid he might take my job.
I know, right, Bob?
Yeah.
He's in competition with you now.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Get the voice in there.
No one can replace you, Bob.
No,
Don't worry.
Well, thank you very
Don't worry, your job is secure.
Finally.
Okay, so moving along, we have Ethan Feldman.
Yeah, all right.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, I can't talk today.
Yep. I grew up in Manhattan. I'm a native New Yorker. Went to college in Rochester, New York. Do computer stuff by day and comedy by night.
Oh, nice. What got you into comedy?
I've always been a fan of stand-up, but a few years ago I was like, you know, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and just start doing open mics and just give it a shot.
Oh, okay. So you've been doing it for a few years?
Yeah, actually tomorrow will be my 3-year anniversary of doing stand-up in New York.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Who's your favorite comedian?
I would have to say I really like Brian Regan a lot because it's really hard to be like a good, clean comic, and he is an amazing, mostly clean comic.
Okay, and where can they get you, on Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook, Instagram, my handle is EMAXSAUN. That's EMAXon. That's where I post all my comedy and stuff.
Okay, and I guess you have 5 minutes for us?
I do, yeah.
Okay, great.
Hey, how you guys doing? I am not doing too good myself, to be honest. I've had a hard time sleeping recently. I am what people refer to as a sleep talker. I don't know if anybody else has that or does that. It's true. I got married a couple years ago, and my wife told me that I woke her up in the middle of the night on our honeymoon by going, "Alexa, turn on the bedroom lights." Not sure what that's supposed to mean. Or like one time I was with a bunch of college friends on a ski trip, and I had to share a room with my buddy. He told me in the middle of the night that I got up in bed and went, "No thanks, you take the chair." Like, I'm not sure what to feel worse about. On one hand, I'm waking up my friend in the middle of the night, but on the other hand, I'm giving up my seat in my dream. Like, I know I'm a nice guy and all, but when I start having dreams about inconveniencing myself to help others, that becomes a problem. And it runs in the family. My brother sleep talks too. One time we were sharing a room, he got up in bed and went, "Mom's a good dancer." Yeah, I couldn't help it. I started laughing at him, and then he told me in his sleep, "Shut up, Ethan. We were about to tango." That's weird. But apparently I moved on from sleep talking, though, to something that can best be described as like sleep molesting. Should I say that again a little bit creepier so it really sinks in with you guys? No, every morning my wife is like, "Do you remember what you did last night? You were like all over me." And I'm like, "Wow, I was? Well, damn. Having the best sex of my life and I don't even know." "I thought I told you for doing that next time. Just wake me up." A little bit creepy there. Speaking of my wife, we are expecting our first child. She is pregnant right now. No joke. Due date is May 19th, and I'm excited because my wife is Chinese and I am Jewish. Surprise! So I realized our kid is going to be 50% Chinese, 50% Jewish, and 100% the ultimate student. Hell yeah. Or just like whiny with a really tiny penis. And stingy with money. Oh, come on, it's self-deprecating, racist, and anti-Semitic all at the same time. No, I'm just kidding, it's a girl. So yeah, I'm married now, but I used to date a lot. Like one time I was on a date with this girl. We were talking, and she found out that I grew up in New York, and she was fascinated. She was like, "Wow, what was high school like for you?" And I told her, it was terrible. It was terrible. I got jumped by the same gang like every day. She felt really bad, and she was like, "Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. High school was great for me. I was president of the theater club." I was like, "Wow." that was the gang that jumped me. It was not a good date. But no, I'm kidding. I was actually a pretty popular guy in high school. Oh, yeah. Back in high school, the girls were always after me. No, I was seriously the man. Okay, the man that helped them install Windows XP. All right, we'll leave you guys on that sad note. Thanks so much, everybody.
We had a great show tonight, right, Fred?
We're racking it up.
We're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. And Bodybuilder Bob,
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming on. You're very dapper tonight.
Yes,
Dipper Dapper and
looking
Dapper
sharp.
Bapper.
I clean up nice. Yeah.
Bodybuilder Bob. Bodybuilder Bob. That's Bodybuilder Bob.
Okay. So, all right. So another show, another night, and
Another one down.
another one bites the dust.
One bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one.
All right, Fred.
That was Queen, was it? No, that was Queen.
All right, Fred. You ready for the rollout?
That was that was their last song too. Another one bites.
Okay. So we're ready for the rollout.
Cut that one out.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Bye. See you next time on the Staten Island Comedy Show.